Inflation.
Inflation.
Inflation. Inflation.
Inflation. Inflation.
Inflation.
The game you all know and love, Grand Theft Auto 5, was released 11 years ago. Rockstar has had some ups and downs over these years, but we know they will continue to deliver.
Yes, 11 years ago, GTA 5 was released, where players had the opportunity to work hard and be rewarded fairly, but fast forward to 2024 and prices are at an all-time high, with players' money staying the same, and here's how inflation has ruined GTA. And I want to start back in 2013 when the $1 million adder was the most expensive item in the entire game. If you were driving one of these, you were extremely rich. And I know you're probably thinking like,
Oh, $1 million is nothing.
but you have to realize this was in 2013, before KO Perico, before the Diamond Casino replay glitch, and really before all the money glitches YouTube is flooded with. Back then, the best ways to make money were waiting till jobs were double money in RP and then just grinding them for as long as possible. I mean, people used to dedicate a whole YouTube video to buying an adder. You can even find people who say back in the day, if you had an adder, a high-end apartment, decent weapons, and some money, you were the king, and GTA just isn't like that anymore. Over the past 11 years, Rockstar has released over 40 DLCs, slowly adding more expensive and more expensive cars, to the point where if you're a new player, these prices aren't even possible to get. Just for a second, pretend you're a level 1 in 2024 and you just load into the world of GTA and have absolutely nothing. So you open your phone to check what you want your first car to be, and you see this for $1.6 million, or this for $1.5 million, or this for $1.8 million. I mean, all of these are more expensive than the adder, and they're all a lot worse. And I just feel like when a new player sees this and realizes cars like this they won't be able to buy for months, they're not gonna keep playing to see how long it takes to buy a $5 million cop car. Which actually brings me to my next point of why is there a $5 million cop car? If you haven't been on recently, this is one of the newest cars in GTA, and it's $5.4 million, and it's a cool car, I'll give it that. I'm happy GTA added it, but it's a Gauntlet Hellfire with the livery and lights on it. And the Gauntlet Hellfire is $745,000. Even if you don't agree with other cars being overpriced, I don't think anyone can argue that this thing is worth over $5 million. I mean, just go on Reddit and look up Gauntlet Interceptor, because every comment is just,
who the fuck made this shit $5 million?
and I honestly couldn't agree more. Even the other cop cars are pretty overpriced, but I don't want to get into that right now. Instead, I want to head over to weapons for a second, because while most of them are fairly priced, I don't really have a problem with them. There's one that's insane. We all know the taser, right? It's actually a pretty fun weapon to use. But if you go into a gun shop and try to look for it, you'll probably notice that it's nowhere to be found. That's because the only way to get a taser is to actually buy it from your agency for just a small fee of $352,000 for a taser. Like, I think the only weapons that are more expensive are the Up and Atomizer, the Unholy Hellbringer, and the Widowmaker, which, yeah, that means the taser is one of the most expensive weapons in GTA Online. But in story mode, if I go into an ammunition store, the taser is $100, so please, Rockstar, is it $100 or $352,000? Make it make sense. And so far, if you haven't came to the conclusion that the economy in GTA is messed up, let me take you to a clothing store. This place is super weird. Like, some things make sense, like a couple bucks for a shirt, that's a pretty decent price. But then we have other things like a jacket for $50,000, some other random black jacket for $40,000, a literal straight jacket for $38,000, but most importantly, a colored alien suit for $330,000. I actually even found these alien suits on Amazon for $12, so I could either buy a $10 shark card and run around as an alien, or just spend $12 and run around as an alien in real life. And I'm sure there's a bunch more clothing that's stupidly overpriced that y'all can let me know in the comments, because I want to move on to the $10 million plane. And if this isn't the definition of inflation, I don't know what is. When you go to look at planes, you'll notice a $1 million Luxor and a $10 million golden version of it. The normal Luxor has better handling and acceleration, while the expensive one has better brakes and it's solid gold. Those are the only differences for an $8.5 million price difference. But here's the problem. We all bought it. I know I did. started. I literally remember grinding Casino Heist for a couple days with my friend. Then at the exact same time, we both bought a Luxor Deluxe. We brought both of our planes to the airport, parked some cars in front of them, and then I took this insanely hard picture like 4 years ago. But the point is, I do see why Rockstar makes things expensive because people buy it. I mean, they could literally take the worst car ever and list it for $19 million, and I know all of you are gonna grind for it. Like, same thing goes for the yacht. None of you actually want it, yet somehow we all have it, and this is why I feel like prices are just gonna keep going up. And not just up on new things, there's so many cars that have increased in price throughout the years, and just to name a few, we got the Scramjet that went from 3.48 million to 4.5 million, the Deluxo from 4.7 million to 5.7 million, and definitely most notably the Oppressor Mark II from 3.8 million to $8 million, which is insane. And there's plenty of more vehicles that got hit with inflation, but we don't want to be here all day. So let's recap real quick. So far, we found that cars are extremely expensive, weapons are extremely expensive, clothes are extremely expensive. Basically, we figured out prices have went up a lot over the years, but we also have to talk about how getting money has changed. Because like I said earlier, in 2013, the best ways to make money were doing double money jobs and just grinding out contact missions, both paying maybe like 20,000 max. So I would say back in the day, the absolute most amount of money you can make in a day is $1 million, which I think is a perfect system. You grind all day, you can afford the best car in the game. Sounds fair, right? Well, no. GTA spent the next couple years adding more and more cars, but no new money methods, and realistically, people weren't going to be playing all day every day, so the only way to really get all of these new cars were to buy shark cards. There's literally articles of people spending thousands of real dollars around 2015 because of all these new cars, but again, no one could possibly make enough money just playing the game to afford them. So that's when GTA started adding more money methods, like the ones we know today, such as the Doomsday Heist, the bunker, the nightclub, and a couple other things around this time. But then money was actually too easy to get. I mean, just think about how much money you can make doing a Doomsday Heist. It's a lot, to the point where more cars were coming out, and instead of being 1 million, they were 2 or 3 million. But then more money methods came out, like the Diamond Casino Heist and the arcade. So instead of 3 million, cars were 4 million. And the trend continued to the point where we're at now, where there are so many different ways to make money in GTA, it's actually insane. I mean, if you look up how to make money on GTA 5 Online, there's so many different people commenting their methods, and you rarely even see the same thing twice because, like I said, there's so many methods. But then, since we have so many methods, we have things like the $5 million cop car. And honestly, if you've been playing GTA for a while, these insane prices of vehicles are probably annoying, sure, but you can still afford them. The problem is really with new players that are still stuck doing contact missions for money, except now when they spend all day doing it, instead of being able to buy the best thing in the game, they can barely get a nice house. And as the years go on, the problem of inflation is only going to get worse, so who knows, maybe one day a $14 million car will just be a normal price.